All right, let's dive into India today. We've got this incredible document, and it's packed with info. This isn't just like basic India stuff. We're going deep.
Definitely deep.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking over 1.4 billion people.
Wow.
The seventh largest landmass on the planet.
That's huge.
It's huge. So there's a lot to cover, but we're not going to just like skim the surface. We're looking for those hidden gems, the unexpected, the fascinating things about India. You ready?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. I was blown away right off the bat, just in the general info. With all those people, you know how many officially recognized languages they have besides Hindi and English?
I don't actually. How many?
21.
Really?
21.
With over 1.4 billion people, only 21 other languages.
Can you imagine the diversity packed into those other 21?
That's wild.
That's what we're going to uncover.
Okay, so geographically, where's India?
So India is nestled in South Asia. You've got Pakistan to the west,
Okay.
China, Nepal, and Bhutan to the north,
Uh-huh.
Bangladesh and Myanmar to the east.
And, of course, the vast Indian Ocean to the south.
Okay.
But what's fascinating, even within those borders, is the sheer variety of landscapes. It's not just mountains, plains, deserts, and islands.
Right.
Each region has its own unique character. It really shapes its people and its culture.
I mean, we're talking the Himalayas.
Exactly. Home to Mount Kanchenjunga, the world's third highest peak.
Wow. Okay.
Then you've got the Indo-Gangetic Plain, incredibly fertile.
Ah, from the Ganges.
3 major rivers, yeah, so fertile. A stark contrast to the Thar Desert,
Right.
known for its arid climate, vast sand dunes.
And then you've got the coastal regions.
Of course, the coastal regions and islands. You can't forget about the Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep Islands.
So we've got mountains, plains, deserts, islands. It's like a whole world in one country.
It really is a microcosm of diversity.
Okay. Let's take a journey through time. Let's talk about India's history.
All right. We could spend hours talking about this, but let's hit the highlights. Ancient period. We're talking the Vedic period, the roots of Hinduism, Sanskrit,
Okay.
the caste system, which is still relevant today.
Right.
Then you have the Maurya Empire, Ashoka the Great, huge influence on spreading Buddhism,
Ah, interesting.
Gupta Empire, golden age of Indian culture and science.
Wow, they really had it going on.
Then we move to the medieval period, the Delhi Sultanate, the introduction of Muslim rule, and a lot of Persian cultural influence.
Okay.
Of course, you can't forget the Mughal Empire.
Mughal Empire.
Builders of iconic monuments like the Taj Mahal,
Yeah.
a fusion of styles, really incredible.
You'll wait to dig into that.
Yeah, and then, of course, we have to talk about colonial rule, the British Raj, right? A period of exploitation, but also the rise of nationalism.
Complicated period.
Very complicated.
Yeah.
And then the independence movement. You've got figures like Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, leading to, well,
Partition.
the partition in 1947, the dramatic split between India and Pakistan,
A lot of history there.
centuries of it.
Wow. Okay, but what about India today? What makes it tick?
Well, to understand modern India, we need to look at its culture
For culture.
and its traditions. And one of the most striking things about India is its religious diversity.
Yeah, it's like a melting pot of faiths.
Absolutely. You've got Hinduism, the majority,
Right.
but also Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, Buddhism, Jainism.
Jainism, yeah.
And that diversity impacts everything, daily life, festivals, practices.
So, like, talk about some of the festivals. We've got Diwali, the Festival of Lights.
Celebrated by Hindus, Jains, and Sikhs, symbolizing victory over darkness.
Cool.
The Festival of Colors, right?
Yeah.
Welcoming spring, celebrating good over evil.
And then you have major Islamic holidays like Eid al-Fitr.
And Eid al-Adha.
Right.
You've also got Christmas, and then regional festivals like Pongal,
Pongal.
Onam, and Baisakhi. It's an incredible mix.
Talk about a sensory overload in the best way possible.
It really is. A feast for the senses.
Okay, so we've got the festivals, but, let's talk about the clothes. We've got the sari,
The beautiful sari.
the salwar kameez,
Yes.
the dhoti, the kurta pajama.
All so vibrant and unique.
All right, but you know what I'm really interested in?
What's that?
The food.
Ah, yes. Indian cuisine.
Tell me about it.
Well, where do we even begin?
Okay, let's do it by region. We've got North Indian.
North Indian. Rich, buttery flavors. Think butter chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Biryani, naan, kol batur.
Delicious. All right, South Indian.
South Indian, lighter, more rice-based dishes. You've got your dosa, idli, sambar, rasam.
Interesting. Okay, what about West Indian?
West Indians, very snack heavy, lots of street food. Dokla, pav bhaji, vada pav.
Vada pav. Okay, and lastly, what about East Indian food?
East Indian, you're talking a lot of fish curries. You've got unique dishes like momos
Momos.
and rasgulla.
Okay. And one thing that ties it all together,
Spices,
spices.
the heart and soul of Indian cuisine.
Oh, I can't wait to try it all.
It's an adventure for your taste buds, for sure. India, it's a country that just doesn't stop.
It's like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
It really is.
Energy.
Of energy constantly evolving and redefining itself. I'm really fascinated to learn more about that.
Yeah.
We've talked about, like, the broad sweep of history, the vibrant cultural landscape. But what about daily life for, like, people in India? Like, what are they thinking about? What are their hopes and dreams? What are some of their challenges?
That's a really great question. It's easy to get caught up, in the big picture.
Right.
But really, it's those individual stories that make up the soul of a nation. And I'd say one of the biggest stories happening right now in India is the rapid pace of urbanization.
Yeah. Cities like Mumbai.
Delhi, Bangalore.
They are just booming.
Oh, bursting.
Yeah, they're practically bursting at the seams. And it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it brings opportunities like jobs, education, exposure to new ideas.
Uh-huh.
But it also creates challenges, overcrowding, strain on resources.
And unfortunately, it widens that gap between the haves and the have-nots.
That's like a classic tension, right?
Absolutely.
Tradition and modernity.
It's playing out all across India. Think about, like, the impact on family structures.
Yeah.
Traditionally, multiple generations lived together under one roof, but now younger generations are moving to the cities for work, and we're seeing a shift towards smaller nuclear families.
So I guess the question is, like, how are traditional values adapting to this new urban landscape?
It's this fascinating process of negotiation and adaptation. Young people are embracing these new ideas and lifestyles, but they're also holding on to the core values.
Right.
Respect for elders, family ties, community.
It's not rejecting tradition.
It's not a rejection, no. It's more like an evolution.
I imagine that evolution is even more pronounced for, like, women in India.
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing women break barriers in education, entrepreneurship, even politics, challenging those traditional gender roles and demanding, their rightful place in society.
The document we have has some pretty amazing stories of female entrepreneurs and CEOs
Oh, yeah.
who are, like, really leading the way and inspiring a whole new generation of women.
It's so inspiring to see. And, these women, they're not just achieving success for themselves. They're paving the way for others to follow. They're changing the conversation about what's possible.
Yeah, it's really cool, but there's still a long way to go
Yeah,
in terms of, like, true equality.
absolutely. Deeply ingrained societal norms, those don't just change overnight. And, we have to acknowledge that there are still challenges, especially in rural areas where traditional gender roles are more prevalent.
Right. And speaking of things that are hard to change, we can't really ignore, like, the legacy of the caste system.
Yeah.
We talked about its origins earlier, but how does it, like, impact daily life today?
That's a great point. So officially, the caste system has been abolished,
Okay.
but the impact is still felt, especially in rural communities.
So even though it's illegal, it still affects people.
Unfortunately, yes. Discrimination based on caste still occurs. It limits opportunities for education, employment, social mobility.
Yeah, I guess it's a good reminder that legal reforms don't always equal immediate social change.
Right.
It takes time.
It does. Centuries-old systems of inequality are hard to dismantle. But there is some good news. There's a growing movement to address the caste system. There are affirmative action policies in place,
Okay.
and a lot of grassroots organizations working to empower marginalized communities and promote social justice.
It sounds like a super complex issue.
Oh, it is. Multifaceted with no easy solutions. But the fact that it's being talked about, the fact that it's being challenged, that's a sign of progress.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about the caste system, but we also can't really ignore poverty. I mean, India has made incredible strides economically, but there's still a huge part of the population living below the poverty line.
That's true. And despite, that booming tech sector and a new middle class, poverty remains a persistent challenge.
What are some of the factors at play there?
Well, there are a number of factors. Lack of access to education and healthcare, limited infrastructure in those rural areas, and then just systemic inequalities that make it difficult for certain communities to break that cycle of poverty.
It's not just an economic issue.
No, it's not. It's very much a social issue as well.
Yeah.
And to address poverty, you need a multifaceted approach.
Okay, what are some steps being taken to, like, address all of this?
Well, the government has implemented a variety of poverty alleviation programs.
Okay.
There are tons of NGOs on the ground working to empower communities and create opportunities for sustainable livelihoods.
It sounds like a huge task.
It's a huge task, for
Yeah.
sure, but there is a sense of optimism. Despite the challenges, there's a real spirit of resilience and a belief that things will get better.
Yeah, that's what I love about India. It's a country of contrasts, of ancient traditions and modern aspirations, immense challenges, and unwavering hope.
That is a great way to put it. It defies easy categorization.
Yeah,
It surprises you, it challenges you.
it really does.
Yeah.
I feel like we've only just, like, scratched the surface. I'm ready to go deeper. Is there more?
I think we have time for one last dive. There's one more thing about India I want to explore. It kind of ties everything together.
Okay, lay it on me. What's this last piece of the India puzzle?
It's the idea of Indian identity itself.
Whoa, okay, that's a big one. What does it even mean to be Indian in a country with so much diversity? I mean, we've talked about all the different languages, religions, cultures, landscapes. It's kind of overwhelming to think about how you'd even begin to define one Indian identity.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like trying to take a picture of a kaleidoscope. You can't really capture it all in one shot. But I think even with all that diversity, there is this underlying shared sense of belonging, like a connection to a history that stretches back thousands of years.
So it's not about finding one defining characteristic.
Right.
It's more about how all these pieces fit together to create something unique.
Exactly. It's like a mosaic, a tapestry with all these threads, and each one adds to the richness of the whole. And a lot of those threads are these shared cultural values,
Oh.
like a strong emphasis on family, respect for elders, this deep-rooted spirituality.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that spiritual thread.
It's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the specific religious beliefs are, it's woven into the fabric of Indian life.
Like reverence for the Ganges,
Yes.
the belief in karma,
Reincarnation.
reincarnation, yeah. Yoga and meditation.
It's all part of the spiritual landscape that really shapes how Indians see the world.
It's like this collective understanding that there's more to life than meets the eye.
Exactly. And a lot of this spirituality is expressed through the arts.
Oh, yeah. India has such an incredible artistic heritage. We talked about the architecture.
Oh, yeah.
But you've also got these classical dance forms like Kathak, each one telling a story, conveying emotions.
It connects people to their roots.
I like to think of them as like bridges.
Bridges.
Yeah, between the spiritual world and the material world.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And that interconnectedness, it extends to nature, too. India's landscapes, the Himalayas, the rainforests, the plains, they're not just geographical features, they're ingrained in the cultural and spiritual consciousness of the people.
Yeah, we talk about how rivers like the Ganges are sacred.
Yeah.
Festivals like Holi celebrate the arrival of spring. It all shows a really deep respect for nature.
It's a holistic worldview. Everything is connected. The individual, the community, nature, the cosmos. It's all part of this intricate web.
Do you think that perspective, like, contributes to India's resilience as a nation?
I think so. I mean, India has been through so much. Invasions, colonization, poverty, natural disasters. And yet it always comes out stronger.
There's a certain strength that comes from being rooted in something bigger than yourself.
Yes. Whether it's family, community, a spiritual belief system, I think that's at the heart of the Indian spirit.
Yeah.
And you see that inner strength reflected in the warmth and hospitality of the people.
All right. Everyone who goes to India always talks about the kindness of the people.
The generosity, that desire to share their culture and traditions with the world, it stays with you.
It really does. What an incredible journey.
It really has been.
We've explored India's ancient history, its vibrant culture, its challenges and triumphs, from the Himalayas to the streets of Mumbai. We've just gotten a glimpse of this country that's ancient and modern, chaotic and spiritual, complex, and utterly captivating. And as you said, it defies easy definitions. So, to our listeners out there, what aspect of India are you most curious about now? What stories will you uncover? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.